This week marks the 1-year anniversary of me falling through a ceiling, yet I still didn't crash and burn as hard as Penn State, the Vikings, or Kyren Lacy. Penn State waited until the last minute to implode, the Vikings didn't wait at all, and Kyren Lacy waited 2 days after leaving the scene of a fatal accident without rendering aid or calling emergency services to announce for the NFL draft. Drew Aller killed any chance that Penn State had at winning against Notre Dame, while Lacy killed any chance he had to play in the NFL, unless the Raiders can look past what happened. Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts while Kyren Lacy will be haunted by one forever. Kyren Lacy, Kylo Ren. Weren't you supposed to kill your father and not an innocent bystander according to the movies? I'm just taking out my frustration on anything besides Penn State. I actually thought this was Penn State transfer Kyron Hudson at first, but as long as he doesn't pull a Sully and crash land a plane in the Hudson, he'll be fine. Number 136 of H&P, delivered.
Live from Central Pennsylvania with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis.
The Ski Stash! The Ski Stash!
Welcome to the Big Ten. Beezer's going drink, man. Let's go! Oh, Jesus Christ. This has felt like the longest week ever. That Penn State game, we'll get into it in a second, but oh my God. Drew Aller, come on. You can't be doing that. You can't. I get it. You're 20 years old. But this is your third year as the starting quarterback. Please, you got to make better decisions than that. Do not throw it to the middle of the field. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, we have a little bit of baseball stuff this week. The Yankees fans who grabbed Mookie during that World Series game are banned indefinitely from all MLB stadiums. Every single one of them. Not just the Yankee Stadium, not just Dodger Stadium. They are blackballed from every single MLB stadium. Is it harsh? Yeah, but you can't be grabbing at the player like that. That's ridiculous. The New York Post headline reads that Mookie was mauled. But that's a little harsh to, paint them like that. They didn't beat him up in the parking lot or anything. Bubba Thompson is retiring from baseball to join the South Alabama football team as a walk-on. He'll be 27 in June. I don't know if he's good or not. I have no clue. He was actually teammates in high school with Jalen Tolbert, though, from the Cowboys. It seems like he wants to play quarterback, so will he be the next Brandon Weeden? We'll see. I think Brandon Weeden ruined that for any future quarterback that is that age that wanted to be drafted. Roki Sasaki has narrowed down his search to the Dodgers, no surprise. The Padres, no surprise. And the Blue Jays, also no surprise because they have been the catfishes of free agency. Otani and intern Yamamoto, Soto, and now Sasaki. Who's next for the Blue Jays on the free agents to miss out on? Skeens? I don't even want to think about that. Speaking of going from one team to another, let's go into some college football. Carson Beck, originally declared for the NFL draft, but then he saw that backlash and entered the transfer portal right away. It really didn't make sense for him to go to the draft. This past year was terrible. And to top it off, he got UCL surgery. Take the year to regain some stock. Go down to Miami. Cameron Ward's going to be gone. They made him, and basically, I think he's going to be a number one pick. Why not go down there? If he were actually funny, though, he would have gone to Notre Dame since Leonard is a senior. So he'll be making $4 million next year, which is more than 4 times Brock Purdy's salary. All right, let's get into these games. Let's go over the Orange Bowl. And at first, was that Charlie XCX walking behind Marcus Freeman? Oddly enough, that flu rumor was enough for Penn State to be 1-point favorites going into the game. That obviously worried me. But before the game, they were picking... And Lee Corso went out there in his leprechaun uniform and almost fell backwards and died on national television. Lee Corso, you just got to sit yourself down. You probably shouldn't be on TV in the first place. Please do not make it any worse for yourself. And here I wrote down, God saved him, but he can't pull off 2 miracles in one night. God damn it. Oh, I hate that they're trying to make this Capital One guy the next Jake from State Farm. Nobody cares about him. He is not more interesting than Derek Jeter or an astronaut. There is no way. Who cares? This looked a lot like the Georgia-Notre Dame game early on, where there was no score in the first, and it was a defensive battle. I don't think there were no turnovers in the first quarter, so there's that going for them at least. But yeah, Penn State got bailed out for the first time by a pass interference call on something that should have been an interception from Drew Allard. That was his first big mistake of the game. You're not going to throw it into double coverage like that. After they were gifted the ball back, all they could do was manage a field goal there, and they broke the scoreless tie in the second. This is exactly deja vu from the Georgia game at this point, except there was no player on the sidelines tripping a ref. And early on, Penn State was running really well. They were running the ball. It just hand the ball off every single time. They should not have even bothered throwing it. Nick Singleton put him up 10-0, 15 plays, 90 yards. It took 7 minutes and 17 seconds off the clock. So there were about 2 minutes left to go in the half. And actually, on this next drive, this is when Riley Leonard was nearly concussed. The backup, Steve Angeli, came in, and 2 offensive linemen were also out for Notre Dame. I think Angeli was Notre Dame's angel at this point because he drove him down the field for a field goal. And it mattered. It really did matter. It was 10-3 at halftime. Angeli was slinging it. He was looking better than Leonard was, honestly. I think they should have kept him in the game. And Abdul Carter was going off with basically one arm behind his back because he couldn't do anything because of his shoulder. He just bull rushed the shit out of the offensive lineman with one arm, and he was winning nearly every single time. It was disgusting. Patriots, please take Carter if he's there at number 4. At this point, Penn State had 141 rushing yards to Notre Dame's 15, and that was the big factor at that point. So like I said, Riley Leonard did end up coming back out for Notre Dame. And this was actually the first time that they trailed after halftime, coming out of halftime, since the NIU game. That was insane. I was like, oh man, maybe they're not used to this adversity. But it didn't fucking matter. Notre Dame got their running game going here a little bit. And yeah, Riley Leonard being back did help. They tied the thing up at 10. There were 44 rushing yards on that opening drive, nearly tripling their total in the first half. And you could tell things were very weird. The Notre Dame came out a completely different team from halftime, and they were pushing it. Oh my God. 3 and out for Penn State on their first possession of the half. At that point, I was even worried. I was like, you have to be kidding me. I don't know what got into them, but it was the third quarter, and they were driving at this point. I was very scared. Then the fourth quarter started. It was the beginning of the end. Notre Dame went up 17-10. And Jeremiah Love, even though he is a bum knee, is a monster. Oh my God. With this little bit of extra added rest, I think he should do pretty well against Ohio State. I think he'll be fine. But it was 17 unanswered points for Notre Dame at that point. And forget the Georgia game against Notre Dame. This was really starting to feel like the Ohio State game that Penn State played against them earlier in the season. We're coming out strong, 10 points right off the bat, then not scoring at all the rest of the fucking game. Ugh. And on the next drive, Warren seemed to be concussed. I mean, his head came down so hard. Whoever's checking them for concussions in this game was, I don't think they were doing such a good job. First Riley Leonard, then Warren. It was pretty obvious that his head got whipped down after he got tackled kind of out of bounds. But it wasn't late or anything, but he somehow came back into the game. We were all like, what the fuck? On that drive, Singleton got touchdown number 2, and the game was tied at 17 with just over 10 minutes left. And then this gave everyone hope, I think. Notre Dame came out and threw an interception on the next drive. Great diving interception from one of the Penn State's linebackers, I think it was. So they get the ball back. But there was another interception thrown by Allard. But again, it was called back on a penalty, and he got bailed out completely on those 2. There were Michelob Ultras on the field after that. Notre Dame fans were not happy at all. I mean, if the fans really wanted to scare the refs, they'd be throwing IPAs. After the interception was called back, Penn State was like, yeah, let's not throw it anymore. Nicholas Singleton, touchdown number 3. Penn State went up 24-17, but almost right away there was a busted coverage and someone tripped trying to cover the defender. Even if he didn't trip, he was pretty wide open. So Notre Dame busted off a 50-something yard touchdown, and it was tied again at 24. Penn State couldn't score there. Notre Dame got the ball back with 2 minutes and 34 seconds left. Notre Dame ended up getting a first down on that drive, and Allard was on the sidelines acting like a big fucking baby. Oh my God! Allard, you cannot be acting like this. This is partially your fault. And it ends up being even worse for you later on. You cannot be acting like that on the sideline. Quit it. Penn State was blowing it. A hands to the face gave Notre Dame another first down with 1:14 left to go at the Penn State 49. But there was another Penn State sack. 5 sacks to 1 for the game. Ball at the Notre Dame 49-yard line. And they were just going backwards. There were 52 seconds left. Carter actually almost got to that punt too. It was 4th and 9 after that, and they punted the ball away. So Penn State had the ball at their own 15 with 47 seconds left. They had plenty of time. But Aller, I don't know what he was doing. Decides instead of throwing the ball away or just taking the sack, he scrambled around in the backfield for not even that long, but he got flushed out of the pocket to his left, decided to throw the ball all the way back across the field to the middle of the field, threw it back to his right instead of throwing it left out of bounds. And it was one of the dumbest decisions I have ever seen him make. Ever. It was for any quarterback. Why would you ever throw it back to the middle of the field with a fucking safety over top of the receiver that you're trying to throw it to? Aller. I mean, this was one of the moments where I got up from where I was sitting right now, went over, laid face down on the bed for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and was just in shambles. I was in shambles. Notre Dame got the ball back, made the 41-yard field goal. Notre Dame went up 27 to 24. And it was actually at this point where I recorded a video of myself reacting to the last little lateral play, and it looks like I'm about to cry. I will not put the video in here, but I will put a screenshot from it in here. Oh, man. I was so sad. I was just so sad. But, dude, what a shit show. I could not believe it. This one was on Aller. We're not going to blame this one on James Franklin. We're not going to do that. How do you throw it to the middle of the field in a throwaway situation like that? Or just take the sack? I know there were 30 seconds left at that point, just over 30 seconds. But the game is tied. You don't have to go down and get a score. Just play for overtime. You had a chance. You're the one that caused the team to not even have a chance to win this game in overtime. Notre Dame should have never got the ball back in regulation. Last week, I should have just followed my head when I was making my predictions. I let my heart get the better of me on that one. I was going to go Notre Dame. I was. But I picked Penn State, and this was my first incorrect decision of the playoffs. I'm currently 9-1. God damn it. That was God's reparations for what Sandusky did. I mean, Jesus Christ. Notre Dame came out like they were the ones that got threatened to be touched in the showers. They came out a different team. Penn State was 3 for 11 on 3rd down and had no completions to wide receivers. This was their only game in the past 20 seasons that Penn State did such a thing. It's like they were playing in the 1940s and against Riley Leonard's great-granddad. I mean, the concept of the forward pass to wide receivers is completely foreign to them. Kotelnicki needs to find a different name for this offense because the blizzard wasn't invented until 1985. And apparently, I found this out. Whichever team makes it to the national championship gets $20 million to share with their conference. Well, Notre Dame isn't in a conference, so they get $20 million and all that money to themselves. All right, so on a positive note for Penn State, and honestly, you could take this either way. Drew Aller is going to be back next year. We kind of found that out when Prabula was going to be transferring, but for sure, Aller is going to stay because I guess he reviewed his draft prospects, and I don't even know if he would be drafted right now. But the big thing for Penn State, Nick Singleton and Katron Allen are both coming back next year. Whew, that's extremely important for the offense, especially because they're losing Tyler Warren. But they're getting a real wide receiver and Kyron Hudson. All right, let's move on to this Texas-Ohio State game in the Cotton Bowl. I didn't watch too much of this game after halftime. I was actually doing something else that's going to be on YouTube on the Players Review channel. They had kind of like a, I guess I would call it like an ox battle that they did where two of the viewers got to go up against the Players Review crew. And it was amazing. I cannot wait till that video comes out. I will definitely post a link to it when it does. All right, so those Ohio State fans that read the bracket wrong and got tickets to the Orange Bowl instead, I mean, They got to watch Penn State lose, so I don't think they really minded at all. Texas didn't learn their lesson from Arizona State, apparently, and went for it on 4th and 3 instead of taking a 53-yard field goal in the opening drive. Didn't really matter in the end, but they might have played things a little bit differently if they did have 3 more points on the board. Will Howard was making some really good throws early. Texas was actually doing a great job of shutting down Jeremiah Smith. Buka was the one getting a hefty amount of work early on here. But Ohio State scored first, picked it up right where they left off against Oregon. Judkins rammed it in. It was 7-0 Ohio State. It was 7-0 after the first quarter, and I will never ever understand hitting someone in the face with a face mask on. The Texas defense was holding for the most part, but I really felt like they were going to break eventually. And I guess it wasn't the defense that broke, really. And Will Howard had a marble on the top of his hand, a golf ball, if you will. There were a lot of penalties from Ohio State in the first half, taking the mantle from Texas for now. It was actually still 7-0 with 2 minutes left in the first half. Another player that was concussed and, I was actually able to come back into the game was Arch Manning. That was really bad. He took a very hard hit, and they were lucky to not lose the ball there. Texas got something going before the half, and this was the closest they've been to the end zone at this point. They were at the 18-yard line. And Texas does tie it up here with 29 seconds left in the half. It was a perfect wheel route from Blue with a Quinn Ewers perfectly placed football. NFL scouts love to see that. Ewers is going into the draft for sure this year. And the O-line did the Globo Jim Purple Cobras. Great celebration. Oh, and we found out on that extra point that Texas benched Bert Auburn for the game. After missing 2 go-ahead field goals. So Ohio State got the ball back. I thought they were just going to, kneel it out, go into halftime, tied at 7. But, oh my God, Travian Henderson took it all the way to the house. 75-yard screenplay, touchdown, 1 play, 14-7. 13 seconds left. Wow. And Ohio State got the ball to start the second half. Okay, so like I said, this is the point where I started doing something else at halftime. But from what I was seeing when I looked over, it was still a defensive showdown. I was not thinking that Texas would be able to slow down OSU as much as they did. There was not a lot in the air to Smith for the rest of the game, not just in the first half, but the whole game. But Igbuka, like I said, did pick up most of that slack. Henderson ended up finding the end zone for a second time to put OSU up for good about halfway through the fourth quarter. It was 21-14, but it was 14-14 all the way up until that point. And Jack Sawyer, this was your chance. Plant that flag all day, man. Holy shit. He came away with the nail in the coffin. I shouldn't even say the deciding fumble return TD. The nail in the coffin for OSU. Jack Sawyer had every right to plant a flag if he wanted to. From Reddit, for the season, Ohio State has had 12 goal line stands where the opposing team got inside the 10-yard line and failed to get a touchdown. Only 3 of those 12 trips resulted in field goals, while the other 9 resulted in 0 points for the offense, with 2 of those coming from their first game against Oregon and 1 against Michigan. Their defense was crazy. They were actually on like the 8 or 9 yard line on that fumble recovery touchdown. It counts the yardage from the point where he picked it up and not from the line of scrimmage. I didn't realize that. So the Natty is set. We got the number 7 seed versus the number 8 seed. And everyone's like, this is the first year of the expanded playoff, and it's already justified. We have the number 7 versus number 8 seed in the Natty. Well, that's because it was seeded horribly. We'll see if this ever happens again. Ohio State opened up as 9.5-point favorites against Notre Dame. Ohio State all the way, unfortunately. Do you think I really want to pick Ohio State as a Penn State fan? No. But they are by far and away the best team, and you can tell. Notre Dame... I don't want to say they still haven't really played anyone, but Ohio State's on a different level than Penn State or Indiana or Georgia. They just are this year. All right, so the guy that I was ragging on a ton in the intro, Kyren Lacy, is wanted on charges of felony hit and run and negligent homicide for the death of former Marine Herman Hall. Jesus fucking Christ. Declared for the draft 2 days later. How can you... There was absolutely no remorse there. That's crazy. He was in an accident that killed 1 person and injured 2 others. fled the scene, then went to social media with a heartfelt thank you to LSU, not mentioning anything. And the first thing that we heard about this was from his lawyer. And he said, oh, he's cooperating with police. He didn't that night. I mean, leaving the scene of an accident is way worse than if he were drunk in that situation. That's bad. That's really bad. Not even the Raiders can look past that one. All right, let's go on to the NFL. And speaking of terrible people, Deshaun Watson tore his ACL again. The same one 3 months later. He tore it getting up off of this massage table. No, I think he was just rehabbing it or in practice or something, and it popped again. What shit luck for him, but what shit luck for the Browns. And it's what it's what the Browns deserve after giving him that damn contract. So, Shedeur Sanders, you are a Cleveland Brown. All right, so last week Mayo was fired, but on Thursday it was reported that AVP was fired along with Mayo. So, I mean, hell, I hope Covington better be gone as well, or he has dirt on Robert Kraft. He better not be the defensive coordinator going into next season. I do feel bad for May that they're getting rid of AVP, but I think he'll be fine. I think May will be totally fine with Vrabel there. And he's probably going to bring in Josh McDaniels. Let's be honest. It's probably going to be McDaniels. I'm not fretting at all. And I said, if the hiring wasn't made for a head coach last week, then it was going to be Ben Johnson. But Vrabel's agents were talking on contract details with the team last Saturday. So yeah, I said I would be shocked if he weren't the head coach by the time we recorded this episode. And what do you know, as in Sunday morning while I was at the diner eating breakfast, it became official. Mike Vrabel, Vrabes, the next head coach of the Patriots. Let's go. A year late, maybe a couple attitudes short, but we got there. Mike Vrabel is head coach of the Patriots. I know I've been saying that I want Ben Johnson, but the culture is a mess, and I don't know if BJ can fix that. I really don't. Vrabel absolutely can, however. Vrabel is more of a team guy. Ben Johnson would be like the burning bush for May. It would have been something to see. It would have been amazing. But, yeah, if Mayo hadn't fucked with the culture so much, I would have been more comfortable choosing Ben Johnson, but the whole team is such a wreck that they need a leader like Vrabel. And he's not going to put up with any bullshit. He has the experience that is more needed than potential right now. And, hell, I'm glad he's home. Welcome home, Mike Vrabel. 1 year later than it should have been, but we got there, like I said. Rex Ryan's reaction to the hiring was pretty funny.
Hopefully I get to kick this guy's ass twice a year. I don't know what you're talking about. Just kidding,
them Jets, huh?
I'm just kidding, buddy.
And then also this video from Taylor Lewan was great on the kind of what to be expecting from Vrabel when he enters the building. And this was, I think this was more for the players than the general public.
Good morning, boys. Happy Sunday. Beautiful Sunday. Sun's shining outside. A lot of things to be positive about. New England Patriots fans, you have a lot to be excited about. Got Mike Vrabel in the building. Culture is going to be incredible. You guys are going to win games. Those tough, one-score games, you're going to win them. That's how Mike Vrabel works. That guy is going to have his team knowing the ins and outs. Now, if you're a player, come here. You need to keep your fucking head on a swivel, okay? You need to understand that shit is about to be really hard for a little bit, and it's going to be okay. But just know, you're about to go in hell for a little bit. You're going to be sitting there in the locker room. You're getting small groups. Who the fuck is this guy? Why is he talking to us like this? Who does he think he is? Yeah, he played in the league, whatever. By the way, in that first team, he's going to tell you how many years he played in the league. And he's going to reference it forever. Not a bad thing. Boys, I'm telling you, it's going to work out. I was a part of it. I was in those small little groups at first, and then you start to get away from it, be like, yo, this dude knows what the fuck he's talking about. But keep your butthole tight in those team meeting rooms. You've got to keep your butthole tight because he's going to have guys stand up. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? People that are more prestigious in like the topper tier players, especially if you're a rookie. If you're watching this and you're in the combine right now and you get drafted by the Patriots, congratulations, but also keep your fucking head on a swivel now. You need to dial that thing in. He's going to have you stand up. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? Learn the janitor's name. Learn everybody's name. Learn everything. Now you get into the season and you're going to get team keys, offense, defense, special teams. This is how you're going to win the game. He's going to paint a beautiful picture for you. The guy's stage presence is top tier for a coach. He thinks he's a comedian, laugh at the jokes. They're not always going to be great, laugh at the jokes anyway. He thinks he's a comedian. He is going to burn the team keys into your head. But if you play offense like I did, you need to know defense and special teams as well. Not a worse feeling in the world sitting in that team meeting and not having all the answers right here in the front of the head when he calls on you, Lawan, and you're like, oh my God, what is the defense doing on the second team key? You got to know it. And it's not like, well, because then you're dead. You got to pop them things out, boys. I'm just telling you, you got to pop them things out. It's going to work out. I swear to God, it's going to get tough at times. And he can be nasty. But boys, you're going to win some games now. You're going to win some games. All right? You guys are in a good little spot. Big hugs, tiny kisses. Good luck. Good luck, Patriots. Good luck.
All right, last bit of news here outside the wild card games. After Deion said that he isn't going anywhere from Colorado, I love it here. I want to plant my flag here in Colorado, here in Denver. He said he is now interested in the Raiders job. But it was hilarious because the Raiders said that they had no interest in him. But Mike McCarthy is out as Cowboys coach, so could the Cowboys have interest in Deion? Him and Jerry Jones have already talked, apparently, so yeah, it might happen. I mean, that's just a fit made in heaven for Jerry Jones. Does it make any sense for the Cowboys' future? No, not at all. You're taking away Deion's greatest asset, which is recruiting. You don't recruit like that in the NFL. Free agents don't come unless you're giving them all of the damn money, which the Cowboys really don't have right now. So we'll see where that goes. I'm excited for the future of the Patriots. I'm excited to see where the future of the Cowboys goes. Let's get into Wild Card Weekend. Our first game of the weekend was Chargers at the Texans. First game up, first one I get wrong. I mean, Texans came out and their defense looked amazing. What the hell is this? The Chargers, though, were dominating in the first quarter. They just were not able to find the end zone at all. The Texans pulled off a miracle 99-yard drive before the half to go up 7-6. And Justin Herbert was 1 for 9. And the Chargers had to punt the ball away here. And you really didn't think that the Texans were going to be aggressive, but CJ Stroud being pretty damn aggressive with the longest run of his longest run of the season to get them in field goal range. It was 10-6 Texans at halftime. Almost immediately, the Texans were doing nothing for all of the first quarter and most of the second quarter. Like I said, they pulled off a miracle 99-yard drive before the half. So the Texans got the ball out of the half, and there was a Mixon fumble after a huge Nico Collins gain. I really feel like this is what the Texans have done all season and why they're record isn't so good. They're a team that shoots themselves in the foot with turnovers often, I feel. And the Chargers gave it right back to them and turned it over on downs. But then the Texans turned the ball over again. What the fuck is going on here? So many turnovers. This is insane. And then again, another turnover from the Chargers. This time, this one counted. Texans pick 6 puts them up 20-6. The Chargers offense could not do anything. And Herbert was intercepted another time. What the fuck is going on? The Texans defense was wreaking havoc. The Chargers had 4 turnovers and the Texans had 3. It's 7 turnovers in one game is crazy. Wait, that's so many. I didn't even realize that they had 7. So Texans only come away with a field goal after that. So at this point it's 23-6. And then the Chargers get the ball back, and it's 2 immediate sacks to put them all the way to 3rd and 26 for the Chargers. But Ladd McConkey comes out with an 84-yard touchdown, and things looked like they were about to start to go right for the Chargers, right? Nope, Texans returned the extra point for 2 points. It was 25-12. Joe Mixon kind of put him out of their misery with 3 minutes left and iced the game. It was 32-12. Scoregami, playoff scoregami, wild cardagami. Joe Mixon, actually, they had this game on Nickelodeon, and he was interviewed by the Nickelodeon reporter kid or whatever because he won the MVP, the Nickelodeon MVP. But he was like, yeah, we did a hell of a job, and we played our asses off on Nickelodeon. I thought it was Brandon Staley, but are the Chargers just bad? Is Justin Herbert bad? He looked pretty bad in this one. Chargers lose 32-12. All right, Ravens Steelers. This one was pretty embarrassing for the Steelers. And they weren't even being aggressive early on. They got to go for it on 4th down. They should have known that they were up against it coming into the game and that they should have taken every single opportunity that they could. Lamar was on tonight, and so was Derrick Henry. This was a recipe for disaster. The Ravens shredded the Steelers on the ground. 13 plays, 95 yards on the first touchdown drive. 13 plays, 85 yards on the second touchdown drive. It was 14-0. I don't even want to say pretty fast because those two drives were almost exclusively runs. I mean, Lamar Jackson absolutely has to win. He has to. He made this thing 21-0 at halftime. And he made it look so easy. The Steelers were doing nothing and had 60 total yards in the first half. But Russell Wilson was coming out firing a little bit. A couple deep balls put him down 21-7. So the Steelers were kind of getting something going there a little bit. Nope. Then Derrick Henry comes and stiff arms all of your hopes to the ground. Derrick Henry, 28-7. They had 242 rushing yards at that point, and there were 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. But then we had a little bit of a shootout here. Where the hell was this in the first half? Pickens answered right back, 28-14. But then that was just about the extent of their offensive explosion. The Steelers couldn't convert on 4th and forever after Russ threw it into triple coverage, something that Lamar knows about too well. And they turned it over on downs with 6 minutes left to go. And there were 227 yards rushing allowed by the Steelers. After contact at that point in the game. After contact, they allowed over 200 yards rushing. It's like, oh, I don't know. They have the best running quarterback ever and one of the best running backs ever. What are the Ravens going to do? They couldn't possibly want to run the ball. No, not at all. They ended up with 299 yards rushing for the game. 299, and the most since the 49ers had against the Packers, I think, in like 2012 or something like that. The Ravens ran out all 6 minutes that the Steelers gave them at the end of the game with no effort. Jason Mackey put it best. This was a mirage of a comeback for a mirage of a season. What will the Steelers do at quarterback after this offseason? They got a decision to make with Fields, and then they got Russell Wilson to take care of. I don't know. All right, next game up on Sunday, Broncos-Bills. Broncos actually kind of scared me at first. Knicks absolutely rainbowed that ball to Troy Franklin. It was only 10-7 at halftime, but the Broncos actually did get into field goal range, and it doinked off the upright. Bills fans know a lot about that. It was goal to go, and the Bills couldn't get in the end zone after halftime. They settled for the field goal to go up 13-7. And then at that point, Bill Vinovich went up to Josh Allen, and people were like, "Oh, well, why is a ref coming up to a player on the sideline like that? What the hell?" They do it all the fucking time. You should have seen how many times they did it to Brady. I mean, Jesus. If someone did that to Mahomes right now, people will be flipping out. Bill Vinovich is a great ref, though. All respect to him. There were so many penalties for the Bills, though, which is why they could not get anything going against a pretty stout Broncos defense. But, yeah, I think things started to open up after Ray Davis was knocked the fuck out. On the same drive that Ray Davis was knocked out, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if this should have been a touchdown because I don't know if the receiver established himself back in bounds or not. I'm not totally sure about that, but whatever. It didn't matter. The Bills got the 2-point conversion to go up 21-7, and they get the ball right back and go up 28-7. The Bills do look mighty impressive. I don't think anyone really gave the Broncos a chance in this game. They were a fun upset pick to try and choose, and that little touchdown in the first quarter to open up the scoring kind of got things going. But yeah, that was it. That was about the extent of the scoring for the Broncos. 7-31 was the final score. All right, Packers-Eagles. First play of the game, foreshadowing. Right off the kickoff, the Packers fumbled the ball. The Packers couldn't do anything on offense, and outside of the first few drives, neither could the Eagles. But the defenses were playing out of their minds. A good job by the Packers defense of containing Barkley so far. It was 10-0 Eagles at halftime. The Eagles were just letting the Packers stay in the game the whole fucking time. The Packers got on the board with just under 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, and it was still only 10-3 at that point. You could have told me that the Eagles scored 50 points, and I would have believed you. But then Dallas Goedert was doing his best Derrick Henry impression, had a good stiff arm of his own, and got in the end zone 16-3. They missed the extra point. And the Packers were showing signs of life here. At the end of the third quarter, Josh Jacobs almost got in the end zone on a long run. but a second effort gets it in, and the Packers were only down 16-10 to start the fourth quarter. And then the next score that happens, the Eagles only get a field goal, and after that field goal, they're up 19-10. A.J. Brown's on the sidelines reading a damn book. A.J. Brown, it is only 19-10. You're only up by 2 scores. You had half the quarter to go. There are 7.5 minutes left. Anything could have happened in those 7.5 minutes. Don't look so nonchalant when the game is that close. But yeah, the Eagles constantly getting penalties on second down, putting them into second and long, and then having to gain all that yardage back on third down. They would gain half of it back and then have to punt the ball away on fourth and long. You're not going to do anything in that situation. You cannot be having these horrible penalties, these absolutely avoidable penalties. And that was just forcing them to punt or kick the field goal in situations where they really, you could tell they did not want to. The Eagles did not look comfortable the whole game, even though they should have put up so many points. Eagles win this one 22-10. All right, Buccaneers Commanders. This is only the second game of the week that we got wrong. Mike Evans was already making his presence felt on that first drive. It was 3-0. He was going off. But the Commanders' offense was looking good early, and that drive started with 3:43 left in the first quarter and ended with 9:26 left in the second. They came away with a touchdown in 17 plays, 92 yards, in 9 minutes and 8 seconds, 7-3. Mike Evans tied it up before halftime. It was 10-10 at that point, and it was looking pretty bleak for Tampa Bay. They couldn't really get anything going. Commanders get the ball back at a field goal. They're up 10-13. And then Bucky Irving out of the backfield. I think Bucky Irving had a great game for the Buccaneers. Takes the pass out of the backfield to put them up 17-13. And then here to start the fourth quarter, the Commanders turned it over on down in a goal-to-go situation, but they have a legitimate, like they had a major gripe, and if they didn't win the game, I think people would have been talking about this way more. That absolutely should have been pass interference on Zach Ertz. How was it not? He was blocked before the ball even came out of the quarterback's hand. You could see the close-up of the defender on Ertz, and then before the ball even comes into frame, he's making contact with Ertz. It would have been a touchdown, I think, if there was no crazy contact there. That was a horrible, horrible no call. How do you miss that? How? But guess what? Ball don't lie. The Commanders got the ball right back on a botched handoff. Oh my God. Karma. Oh my God. They didn't let that opportunity go to waste. They got a touchdown on 4th and 2 from the 5-yard line. They retake the lead 20-17. This was a great game. And Tampa Bay actually ended up tying it up with 4 minutes, 41 seconds left at 20. So then the Commanders here were just running the ball out, trying to get first downs. Terry McLaurin had a great game, but Diami Brown has come in clutch in several situations throughout the entire game, and he definitely helped out on this last drive. With 55 seconds left, the Commanders tried to get the Bucs to jump off sides. It was 3rd and 1 with Mariota under center, and Jaden Daniels kind of flanked out, but he came back in as like a fullback. What are you doing? And they burned a timeout. Now, they got the first down on the next play for a chance at a walk-off field goal, but if they didn't get it and missed the field goal, that would have been a painfully bad decision. So, yeah, they go for the walk-off field goal, but Zane Gonzalez was freaking the fuck out. He would go to put on his helmet and be like, right before he would put it on, he would always try to fix his hair. Yeah, he was freaking the fuck out. And the pressure almost got to him. This one also doinked, but it made it in. Oh my God. Right off the right upright, but it made it in on the bounce. The Commanders won a thriller, and it was their first playoff game win since 2006. The Buccaneers were the only home team to lose this weekend, and Jaden Daniels has more road playoff wins than Tony Romo does. Commanders walk it off 23-20. Okay, Vikings-Rams game. The game was moved to Glendale, Arizona because of the fires, and the Cardinals season ticket holders got the first chance to buy tickets along with Rams season ticket holders. Excuse me? What? Why would the Cardinals want the Rams to do well? at all. If they were smart, they would definitely show up in Vikings jerseys and root against the Rams. It really feels like this is taking place in a place not specifically meant for football. It was so dark further back in the nosebleeds than SoFi is. It was like it was like going down to the farm show and watching like tractor races or something. All right, but I guess the atmosphere worked out to the Rams' advantage. The Rams got the Vikings to jump off sides on 4th and 1, setting up the Rams for the touchdown on 1st and goal on their first drive. 7-0 Rams, pretty fast. And on the Vikings' first touch of the ball, they were picking up right where they left off last week, and not in a good way. 3 and out to start the game. Ooh, Vikings. This was foreshadowing for him, because it was not going to get any better. Puka was doing great to start the game. On this drive, Limmer got revenge on Cashman for stepping on Higbee's ankle by pushing him down pretty hard late. The play before, Cashman completely just stomped on Higbee's ankle as he was trying to get up. You can't be that unaware as a football player that you don't realize that you're stepping on someone's ankle. It was like for a good 2 or 3 seconds. So yeah, the Rams offensive lineman Limmer got revenge on him by pushing him down, but that backed them up on what should have been a first down on that drive. Stafford started 10 for 10, and it was 10-0 Rams. All right, Vikings got a little something going on the next drive, but something was starting to appear behind Sam Darnold. You could maybe see like an apparition start to appear. You could see that was something that was coming up behind him. On the next drive, the Vikings were almost gifted a fumble return touchdown, but Stafford clearly shoveled it forward, and Puka was right there, 3 yards in front of him. I don't want to hear it. Yeah, his head was like down, but nowhere. I'm pretty sure nowhere in the language of intentional grounding makes it a judgment call. It either has to get past the line of scrimmage if you're not in the pocket, or there has to be a receiver in the area if you are. That's it. That's like the only 2 rules of intentional grounding. And Puka was right there. I mean, you couldn't see him from the one angle, but he was clearly right in front of him. I don't know why people are so confused about why that wasn't intentional grounding. But then how is this roughing the kicker? He was blocked into the punter with his back to him. How could he stop himself when he was being swung down? I don't get that at all. But then Darnold was intercepted. Ball don't lie again. All right, Rams didn't do anything with it, though, and gave it right back to the Vikings. What did I say last week? A healthy Cam Akers is scary, and he just had the longest run of the game so far. So at that point, which was 23 yards. But there was another fumble scare, this time the other way around, but the Vikings kept possession. But on that same drive, Sam Darnold fumbles it. This time it's a scoop and score from Jared Verse, 17-3 Rams. And Darnold was shitting the bed. This was why he was only making $10 million this year. He absolutely should have used the timeout there, because the play clock was at 0 seconds when it was snapped. Hell, it should have been a delay of game, a false start, or maybe even an illegal shift up top. There was a whole bunch of shit going on pre-snap that could have been completely avoided. Just messy. And there was still 4:35 to go in the half at that point. It was 17-3 Rams. It was just so ugly. And then on second down on the next second down play on the next drive, Darnold was sacked again. He was holding onto the ball. Oh my God. He bailed on himself out on that drive. But on that same drive, he just keeps fucking up. On 4th and 2, he takes the sack. You can't be doing that. It was just so sad. This was all before halftime. And who the fuck is Davis Allen? Rams tight end? Who? It was 24-3 at halftime. I was just like, what? This was just classic seeing Ghost Sam Darnold. Wide-eyed and not knowing what the hell was going on. He missed a wide open nailer, and the ghosts were there to stay. It was painful. This is where I kind of started to tune out after halftime. Rams got a field goal, and the Vikings drive down for the first touchdown of the game. But they missed the 2-point conversion, so it was 27-9 with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And it was taking forever. The reason why I was zoning out is because it was 10:30 at this point. The game was it was so long. It was taking forever. And then Kyren Lacy was doing like a duck walk, and he had just like done a split the play before, so people thought his groin was all messed up. But no, his shoe was just halfway off, and he was like doing a little waddle. But yeah, Sam Darnold sacked at the 50. I mean, they were down by 18 with just over 12 minutes left. And then the Rams burned off 5 minutes of the clock, 7:25 left. And then Sam Darnold was sacked again at the 50. Down by 18 with just under 4 minutes left. And it was bad. The Vikings turned it over on downs on their last possession. And they just blow. Wait, no, they actually got another chance to turn it over on downs. The Vikings couldn't do anything. It was so fucking bad. 9 sacks for the Rams. And they tied the playoff record for most in a game. Justin Jefferson had 5 receptions, 58 yards. Shut him down. The Rams defense came to play. The final score of the game was what? Jesus Christ, I don't even know. The final score of the game was 27-9, so it didn't change for the last 20 minutes of game time. With all these concerns about the, air quality and shit and the fires, why don't the Rams just practice in Pittsburgh this week? They're going to be in Philadelphia next Sunday, so why not? All right, now, they better not change the seating because of the fucking Vikings. They were talking about changing the seating for some bullshit because they were like, oh, well, 14-3 team shouldn't be the 5th seed. They should go to home playoff game. Bullshit. There was 51% Vikings fans, 49% Rams fans. This was the best compromise for the dumbasses that were complaining about it. It must be. It has to be ownership complaining because every single person I've talked to, whether online or real life, including 2 Vikings fans that I know personally, do not agree with changing the seating and know that the Vikings shit the bed with a shot to win the division. The fans do not have such power, nor the want to change the seating. It has to be Vikings ownership complaining about this. I don't know how it could be talked about so fast about changing the seating just because the shitty Vikings team that lost to the Lions and then went right back and lost again to the Rams just because they didn't have a home game. They probably would have lost in Minnesota to the same Rams team. I don't get it. Like I said, 51% Vikings fans, 49% Rams fans. This was the best compromise that they could have possibly had. Do not change the seating just because the Vikings lost. That's just a horrible idea. It would devalue winning your division so much, and I'm not for that at all. Okay, divisional round matchups. Let's go with these predictions. We were 4-2 last week. Let's see if we can keep that 4 in that win column. All right, let's just do AFC. Texans-Chiefs, which I know is actually the first game of the week. Texans-Chiefs. Watch out for the Texans here. If the defense plays as well as they did against the Chargers, I think they win this one with the Chiefs scrambling to try to mount a comeback. I don't know. The Chiefs are 7.5-point favorites right now. At the very least, I would take Texans with the points. But that defense looked crazy out there against the Chargers. I don't know. Chiefs or Texans here? This one's tough. I think I'm gonna go Chiefs. Honestly, they did look a lot better the last couple of weeks of the season. Now, their starters haven't played in 3 weeks, so that's also maybe something to look out for. They might start out kind of slow, and if they start out really slow and the Texans come out guns a-blazing, they might be in trouble. But I'm going to stick with the Chiefs just because, they're the NFL's darling right now. They're not going to let them lose. Chiefs in that one. All right, Ravens-Bills. This is the showdown of the decade. The top 2 MVP candidates are facing off against each other in this one. We'll see how the Ravens fare in the cold. The wind could actually be the difference in this one, and if it affects Justin Tucker. The Ravens are 1.5-point favorites right now, and if that holds, it would be the first time the Bills are ever underdogs in 18 home playoff games since 1970. I'm going to go with Ravens. They already beat them 35-10 earlier in the season, right? It might be a little bit different in this one. We'll see how Lamar does in the cold. Rams-Eagles, this is the one that has upset written all over it. Rams are a 6.5-point underdog right now. So, I'm just going to go Rams straight up. Eagles, you might be fucked if you played like you did against the Packers. I don't know what the hell you were doing. And then Commanders-Lions, the Commanders are going to have to give it their all. But if they don't have a run game, like against the Bucs, it's going to be over fast. I'm taking the Lions in this one, obviously. The Cinderella story's over for the Commanders here. Lions win this one heftily, I think. Pretty sure they're 9.5-point favorites. So do with that what you will. I'm taking the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Rams, and the Lions. Oh, Stafford going back to the Lions after he played there in the wild card round. This one for a little bit higher stakes, which would be the NFC Championship game. Ooh, oh man, we got a storyline already. All right. Anything else? Anything else we have here on Twitter? Anything else happen during the recording here? Oh, after the game last week, the Texans released Deontay Johnson, and now the Ravens just picked him back up. All right, I think that's it. Make sure to leave a like and comment on each video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hoagies and Pierogis is available on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on TikTok if you want to. I don't know. We might only be able to post one more before it's deleted off the face of the earth. So, yeah, goodbye TikTok. Follow us on Instagram for clips throughout the week, I guess. And we'll leave you with this. Munch.
Live from Central Pennsylvania with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis.
The Ski Stash! The Ski Stash!
Welcome to the Big Ten. Beecher's going drink, man. Let's go.